Why your narcissistic husband doesn't want sex. Have you ever wondered why narcissistic husbands withdraw from sex and affection towards their wives? As a therapist who has been working with female clients for the past 5 years, I've gained insight into this issue. Although unintentional, most of my clients are women, and this has allowed me to gain a better understanding of narcissistic husbands and men from a woman's perspective. Through my experience, I've identified 4 main reasons why narcissistic husbands withhold sex and affection from their wives. In this article, I'll share these reasons in reverse order, beginning with the least significant and ending with the most significant reason. Before I continue, I'd like to offer my support to anyone who may be struggling with this issue. I'm available for one-on-one appointments via telephone or video calls, and I also offer a coaching program for those who are interested. The Royal Community is a supportive group of people who hold each other accountable and provide encouragement to those seeking to break free from toxic relationships. If you're interested in joining our community or learning more about our programs, please check out the information in the description box. Now, back to the topic at hand. It's mind-blowing that narcissistic husbands would deny their wives sex, as it goes against everything we would expect from a husband. In fact, sex is often considered a top priority in a marriage. However, in my experience, there are valid reasons why this occurs. The main reason why a man gets married is to have a partner to share intimacy with, without the need to engage in promiscuous activities outside of the relationship. The Bible even mentions this as one of the primary purposes of marriage. As Paul said, marriage helps quench the fire of lust, so that one can satisfy their desires in a safe and committed relationship. It is difficult to understand why a husband would deny his wife's advances, especially if she is willing and ready to be intimate. It is heart-wrenching to witness this situation, and I have identified 4 reasons why this could happen, starting with the least common reason at number 4. Performance issues, also known as erectile dysfunction, can be a legitimate reason for a lack of intimacy, but it is not a characteristic of a narcissistic abuser. However, when dealing with a narcissistic husband, their arrogance and pride may prevent them from seeking help for this issue. Instead, they would rather deny their wife affection and attention and focus on other areas of their life, such as money, housing, and projects. They refuse to seek medical help or try lifestyle changes to remedy their condition, as it would mean admitting weakness. They pretend to lose interest in their wife and show no desire for sex. It is quite disheartening to come across situations like this one. While it may not be very common, it does happen, and what is even more interesting is that many of the wives I have spoken to are not even bothered about the performance aspect of it. They simply want their husbands to show them some affection, no matter how brief the encounter is. Unfortunately, due to their narcissistic tendencies, these men refuse to comply with their partner's needs and desires. They would rather deny them affection altogether if they cannot be the best they can be. This type of behavior can be extremely damaging and can leave wives feeling confused and rejected. However, this is not the most common reason for such behavior, as it is usually remedied through various options available. The number 3 reason that I have come across happens more often, but not as much as the number 1 reason. The 3rd reason is infidelity. When a husband cheats on his partner, it can cause him to detach himself sexually and emotionally from her. Cheating here does not just refer to having an affair or a mistress, but can also include going to brothels or strip clubs on a regular basis. This behavior can be the beginning of the end for a marriage, as it leads to a decrease in intimacy and affection. It also causes the wife to become curious about what is going on and can lead to the discovery of the husband's infidelity, which is very damaging. To put it differently, the husband is seeking gratification elsewhere. The reason why this ranks as number 3 is because it usually isn't a reason for a husband to reject his wife sexually. If anything, this type of behavior stems from a highly driven sex life, primarily due to a narcissistic mentality of never being satisfied. Therefore, they constantly need to engage in sexual activity to obtain their supply, to fuel their narcissistic tendencies. It's not uncommon for these individuals to go to strip clubs, visit Asian massage parlors, or even hire prostitutes. They may even have extramarital affairs while still engaging in sexual activity with their wives. Hence, this reason isn't the most common one I hear about, because these individuals will have sex with anyone, anywhere. Nevertheless, it remains a reason why some narcissistic husbands distance themselves from their wives. That brings us to number 2, which falls into perilous and harmful territory for women. This involves a husband who comes out as gay, which is one of the more deceitful and malevolent things I have encountered. It's not because the husband is gay that I'm addressing, but rather, it's because he lied from the outset about his true sexual orientation and dragged a woman into a marriage she thought was based on genuine love. This often leads to starting a family with children, not out of genuine desire, but as a way of fulfilling a facade to satisfy their family, culture, job, or society. Fast forward 10 to 15 years, and the husband reveals he's gay and leaves to pursue his desires. This is devastating for many women I've coached who had no inkling of what was happening. Ironically, some women say they had suspected something was amiss from the beginning. As a one-on-one coach, I always advise paying attention to your instincts and observing red flags. Your intuition is telling you something for a reason. It's important to look deeper into things, especially when it comes to marriage. Keeping secrets and lying about one's true identity can cause long-term damage and destruction. That's why I believe it's one of the most malicious and abusive things a person can do, especially if they're a narcissist. It's not about being gay, it's about not being truthful from the beginning. Starting a family under false pretenses is unfair to everyone involved. It's a commitment to build a life together, not to hide who you really are. It can create problems for the spouse and children as well. That's why I ranked it as the second most malicious reason I've seen for narcissistic husbands to withdraw from sex and affection. The top reason I've come across is even more mind-boggling. It's not about cheating, being gay, or performance issues. It's about control. When a wife wants sex and affection, it becomes a threat to the narcissistic husband who craves control. Even though they desire sex, they will refuse it simply because it's what their wife wants. It's like Al Bundy from the TV show Married with Children, who would often push away his wife Peg's advances. This behavior is unique to narcissistic personalities, and it's a very strange situation for a wife to be in. I've heard of women who have tried everything to get their husbands to have sex with them, even going as far as cooking in nothing but an apron or standing naked when he gets home from work. But it never works. The fact that the wife is initiating sex becomes a turn-off for the narcissistic husband, which is counterintuitive. Most men would love to come home to a wife who is ready and willing to have sex, but to a narcissistic husband, it's a threat to their control. Why? Because the wife's enjoyment of sex undermines the narcissistic husband's control. It's similar to the way a narcissistic person might devalue something that brings you joy or happiness, like your favorite clothing or music, because your joy and freedom of expression is a threat to their control over you. In the same way, a wife's desire for sex is a threat to a narcissistic husband's control over her. If the husband allows the wife to have what she wants, she becomes equal to him, and that puts her in control. That's why a narcissistic husband will often pursue his wife when she stops showing interest in him. This is how you know it's all about control. In the beginning of a relationship, sex is often great because the narcissistic partner is still in control and getting what they want. Perhaps you can now comprehend why sex with a narcissistic man is so appealing at the beginning of a relationship. The reason is because it's forbidden in the early stages. Women tend to be more hesitant at the start of a relationship, and that's what a narcissistically abusive person feeds off of, going against those boundaries. That's where they get their supply from. It's not about love or the act of intercourse itself. It's not about celebrating or making love. It's about pushing against what the person wants, which allows them to feel powerful in the situation. This behavior continues after marriage. A narcissistic husband will often deny his wife sex when she wants it because he needs to push against what she wants to remain in control. Then, when she says she doesn't want it, he comes knocking, saying he wants it. These situations are all very concerning. Unfortunately, you cannot change the person you're dealing with if they're a narcissistic man or husband. Ultimately, you have to decide whether or not you want to deal with the difficulties and pursue counselling. However, their controlling nature is part of their character, and their narcissism is a part of their nature. There's no changing it. If you're living with someone who is constantly competing and needs to be in control over everything, even when it comes to sex and affection, you can expect to deal with their games for the rest of your life. I'm not here to tell anyone to divorce, as that's not my role as a non-denominational Christian. However, it's heartbreaking to see people suffer in relationships with constant games when marriage is not intended to be a game. It's meant to be about finding a partner to do life with, someone to walk side by side with, shoulder to shoulder. That's what being equally yoked is. If any of the issues discussed here are present in your marriage, then you are not equally yoked. It's evident that you and your partner are not standing shoulder to shoulder. You may hear messages at church urging you to continue loving and fighting for your relationship, but this can be comparable to the medical industry keeping you sick to sell medication. Unfortunately, churches can also keep you in situations where you feel unwell, deprived, and suffering just to have you return to the altar and pray for a change. Navigating these difficulties can be challenging, but know that I am here to support you. In the description box below, you can access chat counseling to help you with the narcissistic trauma and help you live a better life for only $1 a week. But for now, it's only available for us only. But try to write in the comments in which country you want this feature to be available. If we have many requests for a country, we are happy to make them. That's it for today's video. Thank you for watching.
The conclusion in this video: 4 reasons why narcissist husbands withdraw for sex and affection towards their wives, beginning with the least significant and ending with the most significant reason. The less common reason is performance issue or ethical dislocation, which can prevent a husband from being intimate with their partner. However, narcissist tendencies may prevent them from seeking help for this issue, and they would rather they need their wife affection and attention and focus on other areas for their life. The third reason is infidelity, which can cause a husband to detach himself sexually and emotionally from his wife. The husband may seek gratification elsewhere, and this behavior can lead to a distrust in intimacy and affection. The second reason is when a husband comes out as gay, which is despicable and harmful to women who were unaware of the husband's true sexual orientation when they entered the marriage. The husband may have started a family out of a desire to fulfill a phase to satisfy their family, culture, job, or society, which can be devastating for women who had own inkling of what's happening. The most significant reason is that narcissist husbands see their wives as objects, and once they have conquered them, they lose interest. They may withdraw from sex and affection, withhold compliments, and show no interest in their viewers' interests, as they are no longer as full in obtaining their supply to fuel their narcissist tendencies. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to click like, share, and subscribe to the channel. See you on the next video.